Welcome to The Explainer. We are jumping right in today because we're exploring a true geographical wonder. It's an absolute marvel tucked away in the northeast of the Rosetta Branch in Egypt's Nile Delta, Lake Berulus. If you've ever wondered just how delicate and awe-inspiring natural ecosystems can be, well, you are in the perfect place. We are looking at a spot where incredibly powerful forces of nature converge, creating one of the absolute most vital environmental hubs in the entire region. Think about it for a second. What actually happens when the fresh, life-giving waters of the mighty Nile collide head-on with the deep, salty expanse of the Mediterranean Sea? It's not just water mixing with water. It is a literal collision of ecosystems. And out of that collision comes a rare, incredibly fragile equilibrium that literally gives life to everything around it. Section 1. Where the Nile meets the sea. The geography of a rare balance. Picture this. A massive footprint on the map, stretching up to 70 kilometers long and 17 kilometers wide. It's the exact place where two distinct worlds crash into each other. On one end, you've got the heavy, salt-laden waters of the Mediterranean Sea relentlessly pushing in through the Berulus Inlet, which is also known as the Buhaz. And on the flip side, fresh water flowing from the Nile River is channeled right into the lake via the Barbal Canal and agricultural drains. So it is just this continuous, dynamic mixing bowl. So what do you get when you mix all that together? You get what's called a brackish environment. Basically, it's a transitional aquatic ecosystem. It's not entirely freshwater, but it's not completely salty either. It's somewhere right in the middle. And here's the kicker. This specific, unique chemical cocktail is exactly what fuels the lake's massive biological productivity. It acts as an ecological engine, creating thriving conditions that you simply cannot find in a standard river or out in the open ocean. Let's move on to Section 2, a haven for life. Ecological diversity and wildlife. 135. That staggering number represents the astonishing variety of plant species found naturally thriving within the reserve. It is a literal botanical treasure trove, flourishing right exactly where the salt and fresh waters meet. And those 135 species aren't just sitting in one uniform area. They are spread across a massive scale of environmental variety. The reserve features several completely distinct, sprawling biomes. We're talking salt marshes, huge reed beds, sweeping sand plains, and towering coastal dunes. It's like having several totally different worlds packed into one geographic spot, each supporting its own highly unique web of life. And this isn't just a big deal for local Egyptian ecology. We are talking about a global lifeline here. Lake Berulus is absolutely crucial as a major stopover for migratory birds. Imagine these flocks making those grueling intercontinental journeys thousands of miles between Europe and Africa. This perfectly balanced environment is the five-star hotel where they can safely rest and refuel. But the life here also directly ties into human survival and the local economy. Because of how the fresh and saltwater mix right at the inlet, the lake provides the absolute perfect breeding ground for various fish. It is particularly important for the borosir, or mullet family of fish. That biological productivity created by the brackish water, that is the literal foundation of the entire local fishing industry. Section 3. The shrinking lake. Area decline and environmental pressures. Now, we have to talk about the threats, because this ecosystem has faced severe existential ones over the last century. Back in the early 20th century, the lake covered an area of over 600 square kilometers. Today, it sits somewhere between just 400 and 460 square kilometers. That means over 140 square kilometers of this vital, life-giving environment just vanished. So how exactly did that happen? Well, it wasn't just physical land encroachment. Alongside the shrinking area, there were years of accumulated environmental pressures from human activities. Changes in the environment, pollution, human infringements, all of this completely stressed the ecosystem and disrupted that rare, fragile balance we spent the first half of this explainer marveling at. Which brings us to Section 4, Restoring Balance, Rescue Efforts, and the Future. The good news is, recent data shows relative stability in the lake's size over the last few years, all thanks to some massive modern interventions. First up, they are aggressively improving the water quality. They've successfully got sewage treatment plants operating in nearby cities like Baltim and Burj al Berulus to finally tackle the pollution. Second, to protect the wildlife, they have implemented strict bans on fry fishing. That's the catching of juvenile or baby fish. This ensures the biological productivity can actually bounce back, throwing a major lifeline to those crucial bory fish populations. And those specific steps are just pieces of a much larger, highly comprehensive vision. The reserve's strategic goals are incredibly ambitious. They stretch from conserving biodiversity and reintroducing threatened species to heavily protecting the wetlands and constantly monitoring environmental changes. It also involves leaning into ecotourism and scientific research. But crucially, they're aiming to do all of this while preserving natural resources in a way that still yields economic returns. It's honestly a masterclass in balancing long-term ecological sustainability with real-world economic needs. Okay, before we wrap up, I have got to share this surprising fact with you. Lake Berullis isn't just an ecological and economic treasure, it is a historical one too. The reserve actually contains real archaeological sites reflecting the deep historical and cultural value of the area. It's a great reminder that protecting Berullis isn't just about saving nature, it's about preserving the literal footprints of human civilization and history that are completely intertwined with this lake. And that leaves us with one final massive question to ask ourselves as we conclude today's explainer. When you've got history, nature, and the economy all so deeply intertwined in this one brackish environment, how do we make sure the delicate balance of Lake Berullis survives for the next century? It's a huge challenge involving conservation, smart policy, and public awareness. And it's definitely something we all need to be thinking about. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. Keep asking questions and keep exploring.